We're celebrating an important milestone as we bring you our very first book released by MNI Publishing, called Finding Purpose. And this will be the theme of all future episodes, as we present client stories from our amazing worldwide Life Between Lives facilitators. Today I am in conversation with my colleague Sophia Kramer. Sophia is an award-winning master hypnotherapist and instructor, specialising in ancestral healing, somatic trauma work, past life and life between lives regression, being one of the first to bring Bert Hellinger's family constellations to the USA. She then trained with Dr. Michael Newton in his last LBL training in 2006. She conducts private sessions, international workshops and trainings. Most of all, Sophia is a compassionate and intuitive guide for your inner journeys. Her passion is to assist you in finding your true soul's purpose and healing, so that you can be your best self, guided by your soul's compass. Hello and a very warm welcome to our audience today. I'm Christine Walker, your host today, and this is the companion conversation to the next episode of our series, Finding Purpose. Our book, which my guest Sophia is lovely showing us right now, is on sale in all stockists all around the world right now. So very warm welcome to our viewers today, and a massive welcome to my lovely guest and my colleague Sophia Kramer. A very warm welcome, Sophia. How are you today?
Thank you so much, Christine. We just had a beautiful chat, and I felt inclined to show this book and hold this book dearly, because that's truly how I felt when I had it in my hands for the first time. I cannot describe how humbled I feel to be part of Michael's legacy in this book. Yeah. I have been in Memories of the Afterlife, and I feel like, so grateful and so honored to be part of this team and have been chosen to contribute a chapter which I didn't even know anymore existed in the archives, because it's a while ago. It's a case which I must have submitted, I don't know, years ago. So I was so surprised, and Paul, my husband, gave me this book for Christmas before we were supposed to meet, and I cannot describe my feelings around this. So yeah, I feel very humbled to be here. Thank you.
What a lovely gift to have. And it really is, the conversation we're having today is the companion to that book. It kind of brings the book to life a little bit more, and the stories and the chapters themselves are so diverse. There's common themes, but then there's lots of differences, and there's no right or wrong way to find purpose. And whilst I'm on the subject, I have a question that I always ask my guests first of all. So I'm going to ask you the first question, but then one that came to me this morning when I was walking with my dog. The first question I'm going to say to you is that humanity and planet Earth are going through a lot of challenges at the moment, Sophia.
Absolutely.
Do you get a sense of feeling or some kind of a knowing whether it's important to have purpose in order to maneuver daily life?
So I started with LBL sessions. I always have to think back. The training in 2006, yes. So I was in Michael Newton's last training. I was really, really honored to be in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I was in his last training. And started pretty much right away doing LBLs, because I felt like this is what I have to do. This is what I felt like since a long time called to do. And of course, as you know, we get a lot of clients asking us, question number one for LBL, what is my purpose? So yes, my purpose is extremely important, but I think now it's even more important than ever, at least in our time frame. When we look through history, there always have been moments of great turmoil and awakening and depression and polarity. This planet is a planet of polarity. And we are experiencing even more so polarity in many different countries, religious polarities, etc. I mean, I don't want to become political or anything. I'm just noticing what's happening. And I'm actually, with that, becoming less of a political or interested person in those dynamics. I'm really focusing on helping people to find not only their life's purpose, that's what I meant to say, with what I have, gotten as requests since 2006 is, what is my life purpose for this life? Yeah. But my passion is really to help people understand that the soul's purpose for this life is really what we need to look at. I'm sorry, I have a bit of an allergy. So the soul's purpose, the consciousness purpose, the quantum self purpose, however you want to call this eternal part of you. Why did you come in? Yes, maybe you came in to learn a certain profession or to follow a certain path. But why? What does your soul want to learn? And the soul is continuously learning through different incarnations, also in the soul realm. But as we know from Michael's studies and unbelievable research, Earth is really a challenging place and an excellent place for the soul to learn even faster than in the spirit realm. So for me, there is a big difference between the life's purpose and the soul purpose. And I really sat still in meditation and connecting, and I'm connecting with my guides since I'm 5 years old, etc., from my NDE back then. But I really sat with this thought because of this talk. If every human being on this planet would know that life continues, that what we call quantum self or soul consciousness, in other words, the memories of the soul and what the soul continues to create because of these memories from the other side and from this side. If every person would know it doesn't end here, it doesn't end when I leave this body. Some people think you're really dead. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some think they achieved everything if they followed the legacy of their family, whatever it might be. But if everybody would know that, what a different place would this be? What a different consciousness would we bring to this planet? Obviously, planet Earth somewhat volunteered for us to have our kindergarten here. So I don't even know if that would be possible, but I was fantasizing about it this morning and last night. How different would the world be if we all know whatever we do now has an effect, and affects not only us, but affects those around us. It has a ripple effect, and it continues to affect your soul, your consciousness once you go to the other side. And your choices of return are not only from imprints in past life, but also from imprints in this life. So purpose for me is a huge topic, and I think the Newton Institute was incredibly insightful in this time to pick that topic for a book. I think it's now more relevant than ever to have this topic.
I completely agree, because it's linked, it's not the same, but it's linked to having meaning in your life. So I want to, as we're flowing with our conversation, do you think finding one's purpose is a universal human need, or is it more personal, unique to the self? Do you think every person has something? I'm going to phrase it a different way. I'm going to ask you a question then. Sophia, were you born with an instinctive, innate knowing what your purpose or your soul's mission was in this lifetime? Or has there been a person or an experience that has directed you to your purpose?
I think I was born with a sense of purpose, but now the big but comes. And I think that counts for many of us. Then society kicks in once you're growing up with certain expectations, your culture, your surrounding, your religious background, and especially your family. Now also with Hae Kyung's background, cultural influences, etc. Then trauma, etc., which has to be looked at. And that might overlap your sense of purpose. And you might have a purpose which is more the life purpose of cleaning up certain things within your path. So I can make it very personal. My mom almost passed away when I was 3 weeks old. So I grew up for the first few months by myself. And in regressions, I had a clear sense of why all that had to happen. But then later on, obviously, I forgot it. So my grandfather passed away and my mother had the movement towards death with him. Right. So she died almost, as I said, after my birth. She had an embolism, lung embolism. And I think for me, there was a great sense of, I have to rescue my mother. And I grew up with that. It's like what we call in the family constellations world, like, doing it for you movement, like standing in front of my mom saying, I do it for you. I keep you here. I don't want you to die. Later, she was very depressed. So, holding it here, always sensing into it, feeling into it. Now, maybe a benefit from that was that I became very touchy-feely and can really sense a lot. But then what was another kind of detour was a near-death experience I had when I had typhoid fever when I was 5. Now, in that near-death experience, which later was really confirmed in my first LBL in the training in Santa Fe, I ended up on the operation table in the hospital. My father, who was a doctor, misdiagnosed what I had. He thought I had a flu, and I arrived there totally dehydrated. And they did a sternal punction to get the bone marrow out of here. And then I first was up on the ceiling of the room. And then I went up like we really experience in LBL. I experienced not only the incredible oneness, but I was greeted by 3 of my guides. And I was especially greeted by my brother, whom I in this life never got to know. He died before me. Right. And I had all the details which I later saw in Michael's work and experienced myself, and which now I often still re-experience with my clients. So, but I came out of it seeing my guides, seeing dead ones, telling my mom, oh, well, there is grandmother, there are my guides on the windowsill, etc. And everybody said, no, there is no one. So I clearly remember how I felt slowly but surely, I'm really different. And I was very different. And because of this experience, and to come back to purpose and knowing my purpose, I suffocated it. I felt like I got really the clear yes to being a therapist, and I wanted to become a therapist and healer all my life, but no, too much no from the outside, from the family system, from the society, from fitting in, all this kind of stuff. So that is the detour to fulfilling my soul's purpose of continuing on this path of learning to become the best healer I can be. So I went through all these loyalties. I said yes to becoming the opera singer my mom never became. She had a beautiful mezzo-soprano voice, came from South Africa to Germany. I had a mediocre coloratura soprano, but I really tried. So then I tried to fit into the family system of my dad's medical system, but I became just the nurse. So just the nurse was not necessarily feeding my self-esteem, so I was always just. So for me, these are all life purposes which I work on. Yeah. And where I want to make the great distinction between the soul's purpose and my life purpose of following the loyalty. My brother, 15 years older than me, he studied medicine. He became a medical doctor like my father and my grandfather and the great-grandfather, everybody medical lineage. But he did not become a surgeon. He became a radiologist. And it absolutely broke him. So I'm wondering often about his soul purpose, because his life purpose and that what everybody thought of him to be his life purpose. Like my father thought that was his life purpose, to become a surgeon and a gynecologist. That makes me really question, if we don't follow our soul and if we can't access it, and he couldn't, and therapy back then was kind of a no-no, you know, in the 70s and 80s. Now, you were crazy if you went into therapy, let alone with the work we are doing now. So soul purpose and life's purpose and cleaning up, I mean, the title of my chapter is Clean Up Your Stuff. It's partially also what we take on from our system and our society, and what we then hopefully awaken to in sessions like this, like LBL, or in meditations. I mean, there are different ways to awaken to it, obviously, but my purpose and my passion is to help people understand in their inner journey that this loyalty, or whatever it might be, what they take on, or I have to be successful. If only if I have then and that many millions, then I'm successful and acknowledged, and I have to pass it on to my children. All these beliefs we have as humans are not the soul's purpose. It's maybe part of your awakening and part of what you brought in as a learning path. All this is not by chance. I mean, we have free will, definitely, but we are incarnating into a certain system, into a certain society by purpose. But which purpose, Christine?
Yes.
That purpose, right?
Absolutely.
Which brings me back, if everybody would know it, right? We would have a different world. I still believe that. If we wouldn't go into you're right and I'm wrong, even already in the family system. Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm sorry to come back to this, but I was 18 years old, and in Germany you shake hands. You know, I grew up in Germany and South Africa. My mom was South African, but I identify more as European and German because I went to school there. So we shake hands, even at family events. And nobody shook my hand because I was just a nurse. I don't know how many times I heard, shut up, you don't know. Okay? It doesn't matter anymore. It's all part of a story which led me to find my path. So to come back, it was a long detour to come back to what you asked me. Yes, I absolutely knew this is where I'm supposed to land. I also know with certain people in my life that they finally came into my life, and I knew already at a very early age their energy, their not necessarily how they look like, but this is the energy. And this is this kind of And I'm not necessarily only talking about the karmic entanglements where you still have to clean up a lot of stuff, like, you know, I guess many of us have to, when we think of some of our ex-relationships or former marriages or whatever it might be, a lot of karmic entanglement to clean up, for lack of better words. There might be a better word than karmic entanglement, but once we have worked through this, people come in our life where we have a recognition which is more on that soul level, from a perspective of healed soul perspective, not the stuff which I wrote about in this chapter. Like, that's why I said it's so provocative. Clean up your stuff. You gotta clean up your stuff. You won't get around it. It's always representing itself again in your life.
And you mentioned karma as well, and we all have a comprehension. We all have a perspective and a comprehension of what it is. I know I have pockets of purpose which make a whole. And part of my pocket is, I think that I'm a girl from northeast of England, and I'm a really practical, normal person. I talk the woo-woo language, but I'm really practical. I'm very accessible, and I want that for the people that I interact with and my clients too. That it's not just special people that can do this, it's a birthright. So I totally understand that the word karma is not some retribution, it's not punishment, it's literally what Richard Martini did that wonderful documentary about, the flip side. Literally seeing it from both angles, like it's almost like bipolar, seeing it from both sides. In one lifetime you might have been a baddie, and the next you will be a goodie, and that's how it is. And it's just learning the cause and effect of what you might do to someone and what they might do to you. And it's as simple as that. And I think that's part of my purpose, to make things not exclusive.
It's extremely important. Yeah.